Hello. Hi, Avery. Hi, Gray. Can I get an audio check? Also, I don't know if cheating works because according to Avery, the first redeem doesn't work until Saribot is in the chat. But if you want to try, be my guest. You have my permission. Now, how is everybody doing? We're back. We're gaming. No cheating. And finally, let's go. Yippee! Welcome, Epic Pikachu. How are you? I didn't cheat. I know you didn't. I know. But you have my permission to cheat next time if you can. I don't know if it'll work, though. Like, I genuinely don't know if it'll actually work. Because Avery says first doesn't work until Saribot comes in. So, we shall see. Audio sounds fine? Thank you. Don't encourage it. I mean, you can cheat just as much as Gray can, though, you know? Because you're always early, too. Inquisitor Layton. Remember how the professor was supposed to show up with decisive evidence? Well, nope. He's actually now an Inquisitor. Not great, been sick for a week. Oh no! If you're still sick, I hope you get better soon. Being sick sucks. We had Darklaw on the ropes. I mean, we totally dropkicked her argument into space. We just needed a bit more. But then the professor burst in, saying that he would be able to prove Bezella is really the Great Witch. There's no way we could give up now, but what do you do when you're up against someone like the professor? I assume that was Maya talking. It didn't sound like something Phoenix would say. But I guess we'll never know.
Professor? But what are you doing?
What am I doing, Mr. Wright?
Yeah, you were supposed to show up with some decisive evidence and save the day, Professor.
Oh, he will.
I'm afraid my only concern here is the truth.
The truth?
The truth behind the real identity of the Great Witch, Espella Cantabella. If seeking the truth requires us to stand on opposite sides of the courtroom, then so be it. I expect you to defend Miss Cantabella with everything you've got, Mr. Wright.
Dealing with strep throat and its viral variants and no antibiotics. No! Strep throat is so bad. Maybe drink some warm, like, if you like tea, tea is great. Otherwise, I feel like any warm drink should help, hopefully. Get well soon. Love him, yeah. Layton just wants to pursue the truth. Let him do his thing. You do the exact same thing, Phoenix. Court is now back in session. Are you prepared, High Inquisitor? So long as I remain on the witness stand, I am no longer High Inquisitor. Simply Darklaw will suffice. Miss Darklaw, I'd like to just confirm something. A moment ago, we established that you were, in fact, present at the bell tower during the time of the incident. That makes a total of 3 people at the scene. It would appear that was the case. However, you managed to stay hidden from 10 different guards. With the help of this right here. The robe of invisibility. In other words, there's every reason to be suspicious of your actions tonight. Lady Darklaw, while I cannot believe you would deceive us in such a way, I ask that you tell the court what happened at the time of the incident. Very well. Let's go. Interrogate the Inquisitor. What happened tonight? The town square was to be the parade's final stop. I patrolled the perimeter to ensure nothing was amiss. As I passed by the bell tower, a pair of small footprints leading inside caught my eye. I went inside to investigate. I had my own reasons for not allowing any of those vigilantes to see me. I climbed the stairs up the bell tower and saw an intruder inside with their back turned. I proceeded to apprehend them. Is that so? You apprehended the intruder. I got some meds to mitigate the symptoms, but I just gotta deal with it until it passes. Dang, that sucks. And it's been a week already? It's going on for a while. Yikes. While I hold the position of High Inquisitor, there are often times when I must partake in various secret tasks unbeknownst to the citizens of Labyrinthia. One of those tasks being ensuring the security of the storyteller. Security? You didn't do a very good job. As such, there is nothing odd nor suspicious about my actions tonight. I see. Defender, you may now begin your interrogation. Alright, let's see it. Okay. Okay.
Hold it!
Those must have been Miss Kira's footsteps from when she snuck into the bell tower, right? Indeed. The ground outside was quite muddy after the rain, so her footprints were easily visible. Right. According to the vigilante's testimony, they thought the footprints looked like Foxy's, but it turned out they weren't hers. That's right. Her footprint would have contained a mark where her stiletto had been. But the footprints I saw at the bell tower contained no heel mark at all. And you stepped inside those footprints on your way up the stairs so as not to leave your own and risk being detected, correct? Exactly. They said 7 to 10 is the typical period, but it may be longer due to me being immunocompromised. No! I hope you get well soon. The sooner the better. At the time, my main task was to ensure the safety of the town square. In doing so, it was of the utmost importance that no one knew of my presence there. Had the townspeople noticed your presence there, it would undoubtedly have raised some suspicion. Indeed. So naturally, that is why I did not wish to be noticed by the vigilantes. Therefore, it was imperative that I mask any traces of my being there, even if it meant utilizing another's footprints. I see. A clever tactic worthy of the High Inquisitor herself. Is there anything off about her testimony just now? No heel mark, but there's a heel mark? Question mark? Huh? This is worn by inhabitants of the Eldritch Woods and it's visible only to them, so like, how does she have it, right? Surely. Miss Darklaw, I just noticed something in your testimony that's very relevant to the case. The defense requests you amend your testimony. You just can't help letting that ridiculous imagination of yours run wild, can you? The Inquisition has no objections. Very well, the witness will amend her testimony. There was no heel on the footprint, so I ascended the stairs careful to match my footstep to them as much as possible. But there is a heel! There's literally a heel. It's right there.
Objection!
Okay, thank you. What I have here is a sketch of the footprints left at the bell tower. Hold on, guys. I need to blow my nose. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that. So tell me, Miss Darklaw, are these your footprints in this sketch? It would appear so. I would never mean to offend the hard work of Labyrinthia vigilantes, but tonight's task was mine and mine alone. Allergies, yeah. I had pretty bad allergies yesterday when we were at the zoo. Oh, so bad. It was so bad. But today might also be because I had something spicy for lunch, so... Maybe a mix of both. Okay. When you put it that way, I can't help but notice a contradiction. What did you say? Miss Darklaw, you stated the following. When you climbed the stairs, the footprints had no heel, so you tried to match your footsteps to them as far as possible. However, if you look at the actual footprints that were left behind, this is why I take my allergy pill daily, I try not to because then I feel like it'll lose its effectiveness, you know? Since I have to take them pretty much every Friday when I go visit my grandma because she got cats. So I only take it when I really need it. You can clearly see that not only is the heel present, but so is the entire foot. Yeah, it's a struggle out here. But when it does get really bad, I do take them, because I would rather not suffer. If you were trying so hard to step on the footprints already there, then the footprints in this sketch shouldn't have heel marks. You have to because dust, so everything has dust. Yeah, that's totally valid. I do not blame you for that. That is very true, although I do not think such a small detail is of much importance in the long run. I agree, it's a small detail, Your Honor, but that's not all I noticed. There was something very telling about Miss Darklaw's testimony. Telling, you say? She stated that she stepped on the footprints that were already at the scene in order to disguise her presence. Now, there's something strange there. Specifically, why were these footprints left at the crime scene in the first place?
Objection.
Mr. Wright. I forgot what voice I gave the professor. Hold on. Mr. Wright. Yes, Professor? Tell me, can you show the court why this seemingly minor detail is odd? I can't exactly do that at the moment. Who can say whether or not these footprints are indeed worthy of concern? If it is an issue, then what exactly are the implications? That above all is what you must answer, Mr. Wright. I do not believe you can assert that this is a blatant contradiction at this time. No, he's logicking me. Does the prof have the credentials for court? Probably not. But I think if you consider that in this court, the Inquisitors are usually like knights, so maybe all you have to do is pass the knight's exam, and he can definitely beat up a knight. With a sword, in fact, so like beat them at their own game, then maybe he is qualified. I don't know. Urk. There he goes again, flexing that amazing brain of his. What is it, Miss Kira? Oh, it's nothing, really. What the heck was that about? It looked like Kira definitely had something she wanted to say just now. It appears the witness has nothing to add. Lady Darklaw, will you please continue with your testimony? Of course. Anyway, Darklaw shouldn't be able to explain her way out of trouble much longer. There's gotta be something more to those footprints, but what? Are we just gonna ignore that the cloak she had on was from the Eldritch Woods? Okay.
Hold it!
Do you think it could have been the Great Witch Bezella? I mean, the thought must have crossed your mind. Surely you anticipated some sort of resistance. While I hate to admit this, I allowed myself to act rashly without first considering the circumstances. So, the second I noticed their presence, I took action. Never did I imagine the intruder would have as much strength as they did. Perhaps I should have gathered more forces to accompany me. However, at the time, I was not thinking straight. You had to solve the Inquisitor's puzzle to look at the Grand Grimoire, so by this world standards I say he's qualified. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I assumed any additional help would not be necessary. But, Lady Darklaw, through your quick thinking and judgment, you still managed to successfully catch the suspect. Unfortunately, my lord, 'twas nothing more than pure luck. Exceptional results can only be obtained through exceptional thinking. Don't you think? Why are you looking at me when you say that? Looks like that's all we're getting out of her for now. You know, if Darklaw was just going to the bell tower to arrest some intruder, then I wonder why she didn't just come out and say that to begin with. Simple. That information was on a strictly need-to-know basis. Need-to-know basis, huh? That sort of secrecy is pretty common, but usually they've got to have a reason for not disclosing the information to begin with. Darklaw was hiding this information for a reason. That's why we need to figure out exactly what she was doing in that tower. I've got to get her to tell us. Hey, Nick, is it me, or do you feel like we're being watched? He's not looking. Yeah, tell me about it. I wonder what's up with the professor. Something must have happened. There's no way he'd turn on us like this. The professor has been very quiet so far. But surely, he must have noticed there's something that just doesn't add up with Darklaw's testimony. Anyway, there's bound to be something in this testimony that we can use. We just have to make sure we comb this thing from top to bottom for any contradictions. That's right! Okay.
Hold it!
And what were those reasons? They relate to protecting the storyteller. It was something I was to carry out at that particular time. Did it perhaps have something to do with what was already decided upon in the story? The storyteller's word is absolute. Therefore, any and all those who make an attempt to alter his will must be dealt with immediately. Aha!
Hang on!
Excuse me, Miss Kira. Witness. Yes? Figures. She really doesn't remember her own name. You seem to be deep in thought about something. Did you remember anything regarding the High Inquisitor's testimony? No. I'm sorry. Nothing in particular. It's just, I'm a little disappointed in myself. Disappointed? I traveled all the way here to Labyrinthia in order to fulfill my mission, but all I managed to do was fail and end up being captured. Regardless of your own failure, Miss Kira, the storyteller did die as was foretold, did he not? Tonight, as the rain came pouring down over the town, I arrived at my designated location. Naturally, the bell tower was surrounded by guards on patrol. 10 to be exact. I was very nervous. She must be talking about the vigilantes. Just relax. You'll be fine so long as you're wearing this robe, I kept telling myself. Little did I know I was wrong. But none of this would have happened if I was just a little bit more careful. Enough. I would be thinking more about atoning for your past crimes and less about what you could have been if I were you. Or what could have been, not what you could have been. Is there anything wrong with Kira's testimony? Yeah, she was wearing the robe. Hold on 1 second. About your testimony, Miss Kira. You were thinking to yourself that so long as you had your robe on, you would be fine. Crazy how she hasn't been charged with high treason yet. Yeah, I know, it's kind of crazy. Yes, that's right, I was... So basically, you were wearing the robe the whole time you were on the top floor of the bell tower. Is that right? Yes, I had it on the entire time. That is, until I was attacked. Then my robe was ripped off by the wind. Miss Kira, this is the first time we've heard any mention of this information. Is that so? I think I must have just forgotten. Rana, perhaps we should update this piece of evidence in the court record. Right you are. Aha! Lady Darklaw, please continue your testimony. Don't look at me like that. I saw an intruder, okay, but now.
Objection!
Ha 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 ha. So the person you saw when you entered the bell tower was actually Miss Kira. The only problem with that is that it would have been impossible. What are you talking about, Defender? Miss Kira, or should I say, the witness, stated that while she was waiting on the upper floor of the tower, she was wearing her invisibility robe. Therefore, there's no way Miss Darklaw would have been able to see the witness. Oh, you're quite right. Anyone wearing this robe becomes invisible. Right, but there's just one particular group that can see anyone dressed in this robe. And who is that exactly? Only residents of the Eldritch Woods are able to see the robe. If you're from the Eldritch Woods, then you'll have absolutely no problem seeing this thing.
Objection.
So, what you're saying, Mr. Wright, is that Miss Darklaw here actually hails from the Eldritch Woods. Is that correct? Witch! And that she knew this girl prior to tonight. That's right, Professor. What is this? Burn her! A most impressive display, Mr. Wright. However, there is one detail that you appear to have overlooked. Something I overlooked? Burn! Say Miss Darklaw saw something she should not have been able to see. However, the truth is that there is one other possibility as to what occurred tonight. Did he just say what I think he said? It is rather easy to work out. Quite simply, the witness was not wearing the robe in the first place. What are you talking about, Inquisitor? The witness has proven her memory of tonight's events to be quite unreliable. I believe that by the time she climbed the bell tower, she had in fact already removed her robe. What? 'Tis as you say, Inquisitor. I like how they're calling Layton Inquisitor now. As you can see, Defender, your assertion is mere speculation at best. Your little witness here has been lying to the court the entire time. It's as simple as that. That's enough. Miss Kira? Lady Darklaw, how could you? How could you simply abandon us? How could you betray us? Betray? Witness, what is the meaning of this? Lady Darklaw, you are the mistress of the Eldritch Woods. You are the one responsible for handing us our tasks. What? This wretched girl is nothing more than a detestable spawn of magic. Her words cannot be taken seriously. People of Labyrinthia, I ask you, what am I if not a loyal daughter of this fair town? No, you're lying, Lady Darklaw. She did snitch. When I was waiting up there at the top of the bell tower, I was most certainly wearing that robe. Lady Darklaw, you were also wearing a similar robe, were you not? Don't you remember? What nonsense. I haven't a clue what you're babbling about. I simply managed to sneak right by those makeshift guards. 'Twas not the most demanding of tasks for someone like me. Yes, you're right. That would be true. If you'd been sneaking around by yourself. By yourself? Witness, explain yourself. Enough. Listen to me and listen well. Continue as you are, and I will see to it that this court be the last place in which you ever set foot. A threat? It matters not. The end is already nigh. After the events of today, I shouldn't even be here right now. Miss Kira, you're saying that Miss Darklaw was not by herself at the time of the incident tonight? That's right. Lady Darklaw was wearing the invisibility robe, and underneath that robe was a young girl passed out on her back. What? A girl? Could that be? Yes. It was the very same girl imprisoned inside that cage up there. You mean... Espella Cantabella? Oh boy. Order! Order! So the accused was carried up the bell tower? Milord, there is nothing left for me to say. 'Tis the word of the High Inquisitor versus that of a witch. Tell me, who would you sooner believe?
Objection.
Miss Darklaw, you of all people should be aware that this isn't a matter of believing or not believing. I'm afraid those are words that carry no meaning here. The only thing that carries any meaning here within the courtroom is evidence. Don't you agree, Mr. Wright? Yes, absolutely, Professor. Well now, things are beginning to heat up a little, aren't they? Are they not? Fine. Tell me, Defender, have you the means to prove this assertion? Do you actually think you can prove that I, the High Inquisitor of Labyrinthia, carried the accused into the bell tower? From the looks of it, Miss Kira was supposed to keep quiet about Darklaw's little secret, but she couldn't deal with all of Darklaw's denials and finally found the guts to chime in. I can't let Kira's efforts go to waste. I don't care what stands in my way. I'm going to find the truth. Drama indeed. Your Honor, The defense wishes to present evidence proving that Miss Darklaw did, in fact, carry my client up the tower. Very well, defender. You may present your evidence. Show us evidence that proves Lady Darklaw carried the accused up the bell tower. I wonder... would it be the footprints? Because normally she'd be able to just walk up on tiptoe and then there'd be no heel. But if she was carrying someone on her back, then walking upstairs on tiptoe would be kind of hard.
Take that!
Aha! There was something in your testimony just now that I'm not buying. And that's the footprints that were left at the bell tower. Did I not just finish admitting that those were my footprints? Miss Darklaw, you stated the following. There was no heel on the footprints, so as I ascended the stairs, I was careful to match my footsteps to them as far as possible. However, the reality is, the footprints pictured in the sketch actually do contain a heel. That means something must have prevented you from being able to tiptoe along the footprints that were already there. Prevented? Ah! You mean... That's right, Your Honor. Miss Darklaw, when you climbed up the bell tower tonight, you must have been carrying Miss Cantabella on your back. Is that correct? If you remember, it rained quite heavily tonight. That means the stairs must have been quite slippery. With your two hands occupied carrying my client, there would be no safe way for you to tiptoe up the stairs without falling. That right there is the truth behind the footprints on the staircase. Lady Darklaw, you... Fine, I admit it. It is as you say, I donned the robe and made my way up the tower. But I was not alone. I carried both Espella Cantabella and her little friend up the tower with me. Little friend? That black-furred creature of hers. The thing is nary ever a second from her side. Oh, she must mean Eve! When I arrived at the top of the tower, I saw this girl already there and called out to her. I was very shocked to see the mistress show up in person like that. The girl's presence was an inconvenience, so I immediately put her to sleep. Kitty! Believe it or not, it's just like you said, Defender. I used what remained of Belduke's medicine to put the girl out of the picture. And that's when Miss Kira put up a fight and pulled this pendant right off your neck, correct? That's right. I cannot fathom it. That would mean this pendant actually belongs to you, Lady Darklaw? Ha-ha. That second-degree assault, real. I just have one question, Miss Darklaw. Why? Why take Espella up the bell tower? Why render her unconscious? And why go through the trouble of sneaking past the guards? What exactly was your aim in all of this? I am in no way obliged to answer that question, Defender. What? What makes you say that? Simple. None of this has any relevance to the case at hand. That's why.
Objection!
What? Miss Darklaw, you rendered the witness unconscious and locked her up at the top of the bell tower. I'd say that's more than a little relevant.
Objection.
Your Honor, if I may. The Inquisition believes the defense's question to be irrelevant to the current case. Professor, what are you saying? It's also kidnapping? Yeah. He kinda hits that objection. Layton slay. So dapper. It would seem the defense has forgotten a very important point. Namely, the point of this, Mr. Wright. Huh? The aim of this trial is to find the identity of the Great Witch Bezella. Whether or not Miss Darklaw locked the witness at the top of the bell tower is hardly relevant to the purpose of this trial. But there is one thing that is very clear. Neither Miss Darklaw nor this witness could possibly be Bezella. What? If either one of the two were Bezella, then there would be no need for them to have used this robe of invisibility. They cannot use any magic. Therefore, it is inconceivable that either of them could be the Great Witch. A rather straightforward argument if there ever was one. At the time of the incident, there were 3 people present. Of those 3, 2 used the robe of invisibility to vanish from sight, leaving only one person. Indeed, Miss Cantabella. Urgh! With this in mind, the larger question is, who is Bezella? Is that not obvious? The accused, Espella Cantabella, is the only possible answer. Besides, the accused's voice was heard by all the townspeople chanting the spell Grandworm.
Objection!
Not so fast! I happen to think these witnesses are extremely relevant to this trial. Did you forget about Miss Kira? She supposedly took a one-way trip into the pit of fire over there. And yet here she is in one piece, testifying that she returned in order to kill the ruler of Labyrinthia, the storyteller. Then there's Miss Darklaw, who rendered the defendant unconscious and proceeded to transport her up the bell tower. I'd say there's more than enough reason to investigate who these 2 really are. Only to discover that they are not, in fact, the Great Witch Bezella. I'm saying there's a possibility that these 2 are somehow related to Bezella. The court will now announce its thoughts on the matter. I must say, what Inquisitor Layton has stated certainly does ring true. The tip of the hat is crazy. However, Lady Darklaw, I have one question I must ask you. What exactly were you hoping to accomplish here tonight? I assure you, 'twas not my intent to deceive the good citizens of Labyrinthia. However, I must now reveal the truth to you all. What did she say? You don't think Lady Darklaw is in league with the witches, do you? She can't be. She was the one that saw to the other witch's demise. Lady Darklaw, are you saying that you're... Layton wins me over every time he shows up on the screen. Layton's great. We love Layton. That's right, my lord. I am a shade. A shade? Girl! Lady Darklaw, will you please tell the court exactly what you mean when you say a shade? Ma'am! What a liar! Yes, of course. I grow weary of standing behind this bench. I will tell you all I can. Seize her! Exactly. What the heck is she trying to pull? Why testify about something that could potentially undermine your credibility? 'Cause it's better than being called Bezella. Alright. Shades. Shades live outside the realm of those who dwell within Labyrinthia. To them I am known as the Great Witch. Those that are put to the flames in the witch trials become shades who live their lives in the woods. We exist to carry out our tasks given to us by our mistress, the Great Witch herself. I am not a witch, nor am I a wandering spirit. That explained very little, but okay. What on earth? Hi, Inquisitor Darklaw. Do you mean to say that not only are you a witch, but that you're the Great Witch? Unbelievable. Lady Darklaw is the Great Witch. The Great Witch? Does that mean she's Bezella? That's right. Lady Darklaw is Bezella. I do hope... oh gosh. I do hope that you have not forgotten what we established only moments ago. It is not possible for Miss Darklaw to be Bezella. But Inquisitor Layton, surely the testimony just now proves it. I am afraid that in the heat of such revelations you have all misheard the information. 'Tis pointless. This is the extent of what the people of this town will believe. I believe the truth will become clear during our cross-examination. Don't you agree, Mr. Wright? Also, it's our job. Defender, you may begin your interrogation. Make Phoenix do all the dirty work. It's okay, Phoenix got this, though. Alright. Press.
Hold it!
Great Witch. Yes, that's right. However, I am not Bezella. The mistress to those who dwell in the Eldritch Woods is dubbed the Great Witch. Even if I wanted to be Bezella, I couldn't. As the ever-so-charming Inquisitor stated earlier, I cannot use magic. Miss Darklaw, I have one question. What do you mean by live outside the realm? I mean just that, Inquisitor. We truly do live in a realm separate from this town. Now surely one as intelligent as yourself has worked out the answer by now, no? Perhaps. That remains to be seen, Miss Darklaw. Regardless, 'tis something we cannot discuss with anyone. But it is something that the defense should be able to prove. It almost sounds like a challenge. By the way, Miss Darklaw, since you're not actually a witch, why do you continue to be called that? To answer that, I must first discuss the true identity of the Shades.
Hold it!
So you're saying that the Kira here right now is a Shade version of the Kira from before? Indeed, Defender. The girl has no recollection of her life prior to living in those woods. What manner of witchery is this? Why? This girl, Kira, the flower seller, was cast straight to the flames before our very eyes. That's right, Your Honor, but as you can see, she didn't die. You see, there's actually a trick to the incineration device in the witch's court. A trick? Once the verdict has been delivered, the court attendants move the steel cage into position, after which it seals shut. Then, the cage is dropped down into a pit of fire. The bottom of the cage then opens, allowing the witch inside to escape unharmed into an underground passage. If what you're saying is true, Defender, then what of this town's witch-purging history? What has been the purpose of all of this? You and the knights have indeed been ridding Labyrinthia of witches. However, nary a single life has been taken in the process. That is the reality. So it's a win-win! But you cannot truly expect me to believe such a ridiculous notion. Your Honor, it's true! Oh, that was Maya. Your Honor, it's true! Take a good hard look. It doesn't get any more alive than this. Ah, it's you! I am May! Well, it's actually Maya Fey, your forgetfulness. What the heck are you doing? Everyone's gonna recognize you. I am May. Yeah, but seeing is believing, Nick. Now they have to believe you. Your forgetfulness. I love Maya. She's so funny. Do you see? Are you satisfied? All those found guilty in the witch trials lose their names, magic, and memory. They are then sent to spend their lives as shades in the Eldritch Woods. And the mistress of those shades is the Great Witch. As you can see, this girl too has become a shade. I have no more words to express my utter disbelief at the situation. That's enough. Shall we return to the testimony? Why do I have a feeling things are going to get a lot worse?
Hold it!
These tasks you mentioned, were you acting on them this evening? Yes, I was told to come here and become Bezella. Wait just a moment, witness. Did you just say, become Bezella? My, how absolutely dreadful. Why would anyone be given such a terrible task? Where have these shades come from? Order! Order! I'm sorry. I don't know why I was given such a task. All I can do is follow the orders that I'm given. If I can do that, then I can return. What do you mean you can return? Such is the nature of the shades. Neither human nor witch, theirs is an existence spent in the shadows. Each of the shades is given specific tasks. Then, upon successfully completing such tasks, they are allowed to return to Labyrinthia as brand new people. But Lady Darklaw, how can they return as brand new citizens? When we already know who they were. For instance, we all recognize the former flower seller standing before us. Now that, my lord, remains a secret, but a secret you will come to understand sooner rather than later. Simply baffling. The one who gives us our tasks is the Great Witch. That would be you, Lady Darklaw. Oh, magnificent one. While this explanation is wrought with much I cannot comprehend, I request the witness add it to their testimony. Okay. Lady Darklaw was our venerable mistress. She had assigned us our tasks. She was the Great Witch.
Hold it!
Was past tense? Have you overthrown her? So about these tasks, can you give us any other examples? A shade's tasks must never be discussed with others, no matter what. She says that even though she just finished telling us all about her secret task. Incidentally, do you perhaps remember when you arrived back in town to carry out your orders? Well, not really. My memory is still a little fuzzy. Say, didn't Kira only just recently become one of those shade thingies? Still, I failed in my task tonight. Come to think of it, when Luke and I had our little run-in with Kira, I remember being blown clear across the marketplace, but I never saw any explosives or gunpowder. Maybe Kira was given the task of blowing you to smithereens, Nick. And we're done. I'm getting back to this testimony. I'm sure there's something here that just doesn't add up. Okay, that's the statement. Lady Darklaw was our venerable mistress. She assigned us our tasks. She was the Great Witch. Okay. Then why did she attack you? But how do I do that? She was the Great Witch. Like, is it this?
Objection!
No. Bell Tower was constantly guarded. Okay. These are footprints. Cool. I don't know. I don't know what they want from me here.
Objection!
Eh? Eh? Bell Tower was constantly guarded. Okay. 20 footprints. I don't think that's it. Visible only to Eldritch Woods residents. Yeah, okay.
Objection!
Okay, nope. What do they want from me? What do they want from me? Ah! I was hiding in the belfry. Huh? Okay. $156 hit coin spam time. I'm gonna press this again and then speed through it just so that they... Okay. You perhaps remember blah blah blah. I failed my task tonight. Okay. Yeah. Blow Nick to smithereens. Press. Oh, I have to press the next one. Oh. Okay. You really don't have any recollection of your old flower-selling self, do you? I don't. When a witch becomes a shade, they lose all memory of their past life. They lose their memories? But why? And yet, you still have some grasp of this concept of magic, do you not, witness? Let me spell it out for you. Magic does not exist in the Eldritch Woods. Oh, but there are actually lots of things back in the forest that I've not seen in this town. There are things you haven't seen here? Like, really huge machines. That sort of thing. There's one that spits out fire with such amazing speed, and then it expels these huge plumes of gray smoke. A machine that spits fire? Never have I heard of such a thing. Are you certain that these machines of which you speak of are not simply magic? You know, now that you mention it, I don't think anyone from this town can actually see those of us from the forest. They can't see you. Could it be something like that robe? How can such a thing even be possible without magic?
Objection.
Miss Darklaw, if I may interrupt for just a moment. What is it, Inquisitor Layton? Through your testimony just now, we have all come to understand the process of how one becomes a shade. However, I was hoping you could perhaps elaborate on one additional point. Namely, what exactly is the purpose behind the shades? If you wish to know our purpose, there are certain other things you must first understand. Once you've done that, the answer should be quite clear. Isn't that right, Defender? The purpose behind the shades? Rest assured, you will not get the answer from me. As the saying goes, the witch is in your court, Defender. Sounds like Darklaw's challenging me to figure this out. Challenge accepted. Okay. Oh, there's one true purpose. Ah! What you thinking, Nick? Do tell. I mean, just listen to her testimony. She's more than willing to elaborate on some potentially incriminating information. I see your point. The one really trying to put an end to the story could be Darklaw herself. I guess, but still. Huh? Remember, Nick, we're here to save Aspella. So let's squeeze out every last bit of information we can out of Darklaw and clear Aspella's name. You know, you could be onto something. I'd better gather as much information as possible for the time being. Okay, cool. I kinda do. Okay? I'm not a witch nor am I a wandering spirit. There is but one true purpose for the shades that dwell within the Eldritch Woods. Okay. Banefall. Grandworm. I don't think that's it. Okay. Hold it! Miss Darklaw, what is the purpose of the shades? As Mistress of the Shades, I cannot disclose the purpose of their existence. Well then, since Miss Darklaw is unable to tell us herself, it seems we must rely on evidence instead. Evidence, huh? I do believe the shades could have something to do with that which exists in this town, but ought not to. Something that exists, but shouldn't. Well, Defender, are you prepared to present evidence? Boo, real. Probably. I was born ready, Your Honor. Something that exists in this town, but shouldn't. I think I know what you're getting at, Professor. Defender, please present your evidence. Yes, Your Honor. The purpose of the shades could be to make sure this particular thing exists in Labyrinthia. Witches? But how do... Magic?
Take that!
Something that doesn't exist. I have a feeling no one is going to like the answer I'm about to give, and it'll probably end up shaking this town to its core. There's a spell for that, exactly. But I've got to tell them. The truth has to come out. Since I arrived here in Labyrinthia, there's been no shortage of really strange events. Ignize, Demir, Godor, Goldor, and now Grandworm. You forgot Banefall, buddy! The mere command of magic is in itself a crime, is it not? In this town, witches are arrested and made to participate in witch trials. They are then sentenced to death by fire. But none of those witches actually died. That supposed death by fire wasn't real. And neither is magic. It doesn't really exist. What are you saying, Defender? The Eldritch Woods apparently contain some rather large machines unlike anything that exists within Labyrinthia. Machines that emit fire and produce large plumes of smoke. To top it all off, the citizens of Labyrinthia are not able to see said machines. It sounds like nothing more than magic. Yes, that's exactly it, Your Honor. Miss Darklaw. Magic doesn't really exist in this town. That's the answer, isn't it? Magic does not... What utter nonsense! Wizard of Oz core, really? It seems we finally arrived at the stunning conclusion. The secret behind Labyrinthia. What? Immersion ruined! You mean they're not witches? Order, 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 I say. What is the meaning of this? Y'all are normies. You're not special. It means that all the magic you've seen in this town was nothing more than an illusion created and put into motion by the shades. Soiled it. It's ruined. It's over. But Defender, the witches, we've clearly seen them use magic. Let us take a moment to think carefully about the systems employed by the shades. Systems? What is essential in order for a witch to use magic? The witch must possess a Talia Magica and must say an incantation in order to cast a spell. You ever heard of chemistry, buddy? So true. And the spells able to be cast are determined by the scepter's magic gems. Now, what do you think is the purpose of placing such requirements on the use of magic? What do you mean, purpose? These requirements are not there to allow the user to cast magic. Rather, the reality is they are there to inform the shades of who should be using magic. It is possible that witches were always being closely observed by shades. That's why they donned these robes, to appear hidden until they were needed to create magic. Create? Indeed, there are all kinds of spells within this tome. It would be quite troublesome if they weren't simply allowed to use any spell at will. Yeah, it would make the Shades' job that much more difficult for sure. They're gatekeeping spells. Precisely so. That is why it was imperative that a certain restriction be placed on the use of magic. Ah, you're referring to the Talia Magica, right, Professor? Of course. No wonder the scepter could only hold 2 magic gems. Then there's the incantation. What would happen if a witch could simply whisper the incantation quietly to herself or not even say it at all? Boy, that'd be so cool. I'd be casting spells all day long and no one would ever see it coming. Where is Luke? Yeah, where is Luke? Where is he? Professor, did you leave him? Maya, we spent an entire trial proving that you weren't a witch, remember? If the witches didn't give some sort of signal, then there would be no way for the shades to know when to cast the spell. Asking the real questions, exactly. Where is Luke? Right you are, Mr. Wright. The incantations were a way of telling the shades when the witch was ready to use magic. What on earth? Never did I think these requirements could have such a purpose. Now, let us think back to the previous events leading up to today that have involved magic. Our first encounter with magic was the use of the spell Ignise a few nights ago. A spell like this. Look at them! Was nothing more than a flame spewed from a machine being used by the shades. Then that means Demir. A spell that makes the caster disappear, no doubt about it, it must have been this robe. Next is the incident with Goldor, the spell that transmuted me into a gold statue. While I understand this may sound a bit absurd, I can only surmise. No! Layton! That the shades created a gold statue in my image, took me, and left it in my place the instant the incantation was uttered. True craftsmen, these shades. Look at that. It's crazy. Professor, it's no more absurd than anything else that's happened so far. I can therefore conclude that all of the magic in Labyrinthia was created in a similar vein. What do you say to that, Miss Darklaw? I'd expected nothing less from you, Inquisitor Layton. If that's real gold, that statue's worth a fortune, right? The shades must be loaded. That's crazy. Also, notice how she just says Layton, not Phoenix. Hello? We're right here. Yeah, he's right there. At any given time, there were between 5 and 10 witches in town. All of the witches were accompanied by shades at all times. It was easier than you would think, you see. The shades living in the Eldritch Woods total in the hundreds. It was simply a matter of having each of the shades operate in shifts in order to watch over each of the witches within the town. must say, Lady Darklaw, that is quite a number of shades. 'Twas not only those who fell victim to the flames that were turned into shades, but their victims too were made permanent residents of the Eldritch Woods. Then, those two shady thieves from before were turned into shades? Yes, you mean Robs and Mugs. Despite their dubious appearance, those two were a couple of my best shades. Shady thieves turned into shades. This stuff writes itself. I cannot believe what I've heard. However, there is still one thing I do not understand just yet. And what would that be? Wild, I know! As has just been explained, we have established that there is no possibility of magic being real. But, replacing me with a gold statue to give the illusion of transmutation, for example, well, that sounds simple enough. I myself, and presumably also Miss Fay, have no recollection of this replacement actually taking place. Hey, that's right! The professor got all bling-blingy before I could even bat an eye! Begs the question, how and when was that statue created, let alone used to replace me? That is true. The same goes for Godor. It's supposed to create a portal between two green-colored walls. Perhaps that is exactly why the spell can only work on green walls, Mr. Wright. Still, it'd be impossible for the shades to get those portals ready so quickly. What did they do, drill a hole in the wall? I agree. If we take a moment to think, we can see that all of these spells have one strange thing in common. A thing in common? Yes, indeed. Almost as if some time between the start and end of the incident are unaccounted for. Furthermore, any memory I might have had regarding the incident seems to have simply disappeared in the process. I've got it! Nick! It's just like what happened to Kira. She's got absolutely no memory of her life in Labyrinthia before the trial, right? Yes, I do not remember this Kira you speak of. And, oh yeah, when you really think about it, doesn't it seem super weird how the shades are able to return to town if they complete their tasks? Drugs, indeed. You're right, Maya. I mean, the townsfolk were bound to remember some things about them, right? Like how Miss Kira here threw a major hissy fit in court and was barbecued for being a witch. That's crazy. Eloquently put, Mr. Wright. Hence, we cannot yet conclude that this entire illusion was primarily accomplished through the use of machinery. Simply put, there must have been some way of affecting the memories of all those within the confines of this town. Missing time and lost memories. Now that is interesting, Inquisitor. You are correct. There is, in fact, a secret that lies within the depths of the Eldritch Woods. Something that the people of this town cannot see. Something that can rob people of their time and memories. 'Tis the very thing that connects all of what you have heard tonight. 'Tis a secret of monumental proportions. And, let me guess. 'Tis a secret that cannot be revealed by the mistress of the Eldritch Woods. Is that right? Yes, an excellent deduction, Defender. Witches' souls wander astray within the Eldritch Woods. Until tonight, I thought this nothing but a mere fairy tale told to children. But it has become clear that a seemingly large organization lies within that forest. The Witches' Court is the border between this world and the other world. Then that means, in this world, you're Labyrinthia's High Inquisitor, while also being mistress to the Shades in the other world. Lost time memories? Ooh. Ayo. Kage Procore. Otherwise known as the Great Witch. May I intervene for just a moment, Mr. Wright? Sure. In all honesty, there is still something that sticks out as a little odd. Particularly in Miss Darklaw's previous testimony. So that's hundreds of counts of second-degree assault. Yes, but we ignore that, as usual. Did you say the previous testimony? I've already pushed that out of my head. There was one vital truth that we managed to take away from that testimony. You mean that magic does not truly exist in Labyrinthia? Indeed, quite the vital, albeit shocking, truth. However, there is one more truth hidden within that same testimony. something else in that testimony? I must have checked the court record more times than I can count, but I didn't find a single other contradiction. I want to see a hyper-realistic render of Layton, or maybe I don't. I mean, it would be interesting, for sure. I feel like even, like, an anime-style Layton would be really weird. Layton that isn't a Roblox man. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Wright? There is no evidence left. We have but one more weapon at our disposal with which to uncover the truth. Oh, hey! I've got it, Nick! Remember? In a witch trial, you can cross-examine 2 witnesses at the same time. Hey, that's right. I completely forgot. Being able to have a look at 2 testimonies side by side is bound to turn up a contradiction somewhere. And that contradiction should provide us with a much-needed clue. I'm not entirely sure where the professor is going with this, but I believe in his judgment. Besides, if we're going to blow this case wide open, it's gotta be worth a shot. Very well. We will now take a closer look at Lady Darklaw's previous testimony. This is it. Miss Darklaw's previous testimony. There is a glaring contradiction between this piece of testimony and the others. Ready yourself, Mr. Wright. Okay. Shades live outside the realm of those who dwell within Labyrinthia. To them, I am known as the Great Witch. Those that are put to the flames in the witch trials become the Shades who live their lives in the woods. Lady Darklaw was our venerable mistress. She assigned us our tasks. She was the Great Witch. Was bothers me. Was past tense? I'm not a witch, nor am I a wandering spirit. There is one true purpose for the... Okay, I feel like it's gotta be this one. Like, I the past tense.
Objection.
Aha! Your Honor, there's obviously a huge discrepancy between these 2 pieces of testimony. Miss Darklaw stated that she is known as the Great Witch. However, according to Miss Kira's testimony, Miss Darklaw was her venerable mistress, the Great Witch. That is correct. She was the Great Witch. Note Miss Kira's use of the past tense. Past tense? I'm afraid my grammar is not what it used to be. May I ask what you mean? Excuse me? Judge doesn't know what past tense is. It's simple. Miss Darklaw was mistress to the Shades. Or at least they also called her the Great Witch. Therefore, she is no longer the Great Witch. She's not the Great Witch? Witness, is this true? Huh? It is as you have heard, my lord. I relinquish my position as the Great Witch in order to fulfill the objective of this task. And what would that objective be again? That would be the assassination of the storyteller, Your Honor. Witness, at the beginning of this trial, you stated that you came to this town in order to complete your task, didn't you? What's more, you said that you were going to summon the fire dragon to do it. Now this task, it wasn't Miss Darklaw here that gave it to you, was it? No, it wasn't. So then, the most pressing question is, who was it that gave you that task? Who told you to come to Labyrinthia and assassinate the storyteller? I cannot tell you, no matter what. Alright, so Darklaw isn't the Great Witch anymore. Which must mean the mastermind behind this entire thing is... It would seem the defense has worked it out as well. Mr. Wright, you know who really gave Miss Kira her task tonight, do you not? Defender, I ask that you enlighten the court. Show us who really gave this witness her task to assassinate the storyteller. The storyteller?
Take that.
Ah, my venerable mistress, the storyteller. The storyteller? We're talking about someone with the authority and power to replace the Great Witch. Someone who calls the shots. I can't think of anyone else that meets those criteria except the storyteller himself. Preposterous! Then that would mean... Exactly, Your Honor. It means that the storyteller gave this final task to Kira himself. He was, in short, responsible for his own assassination. What? Order, order, order in the court. But for what purpose? So somebody told her to commit regicide, the killing of a ruler or monarch, and it was the ruler or monarch himself. Why would he plan his own assassination? That I cannot say, Your Honor. However, the final chapter of the story does tell of his inevitable death. While he assigned this task to Kira himself, it is perfectly natural that he would do so. However, what is not natural is your behavior tonight, Miss Darklaw. What was unnatural about the High Inquisitor's behavior? You were once the head of all the Shades, and yet tonight you tried to interfere with the storyteller's plan. You rendered Miss Kira unconscious and locked her away in the belfry of the bell tower. That, to me, seems like the activity of someone aiming to put a stop to his plan altogether. Indeed. Lady Darklaw, what would be the reason for such behavior? Just for funsies. I leave that to you, Mr. Wright. Based on what we've seen in this trial, the defense believes Miss Darklaw's reason for covering up her actions tonight can only be attributed to one thing. This plan was handed down by the storyteller himself, and Miss Darklaw was definitely aiming to put a wrench in it. But why? She tried to sabotage the plan, she tried to betray the storyteller, she tried to protect the storyteller. I think she's betraying him, but I'm going to say it because I'm scared. There's one possible reason I can think of as to why Miss Darklaw had to hide her actions tonight. She was aiming to betray the storyteller. Betray the storyteller? I agree, Mr. Wright. The storyteller used the Great Witch Bezella to take his own life. Instructions to carry out the plan were given to Miss Kira. However, Miss Darklaw planned to intervene and change the scenario at the very last minute. She planned to do so by changing the identity of the Great Witch from Miss Kira to Miss Cantabella, thus bringing us to our current situation, Miss Cantabella on trial for the murder of her father at the hands of Bezella. You, Miss Darklaw, seem to harbor a rather strong hatred for the storyteller, if I am not mistaken. A hatred, you say? Yes, I suppose you could call it that. That's right. Behold, my revenge. Did you say revenge? Miss Darklaw, will you please tell at the court of your plan for revenge? If you insist. That easily? The High Inquisitor, and also the Great Witch. Long have I donned those two masks, one as Labyrintia's protector, and the other its harbinger of destruction. In other words, I was merely meant to serve him. And yet, he sought to selfishly pen the end of the story under his own terms. He did not care enough about me, or any of the townspeople, to allow us the dignity of deciding our own fate. Indeed, what we witnessed tonight was the cowardly act of a man looking for an easy way to end that which he could not properly finish. He cared for no one but himself, hence this sudden sham of an ending. And for that, I will never forgive him. What do you mean by sham of an ending? The Great Witch Bezella is to summon a dragon of fire and end the life of the Creator. She will then be put on trial and judged, thus heralding a period of peace and prosperity for all of Labyrinthia. Such is the ending written for this town and its people. 'Tis not an ending I oppose in principle. Who would not wish a happy ending for their own people? However, the problem lies in Bezella's identity. Bezella's identity? As you know, he assigned the role of the Great Witch to this girl beside me. But you're saying that was a falsehood. Is that correct? I knew Bezella's true identity. 'Tis not something I could ever forget. That is why I went to the bell tower, and it is why I took the accused there. I did it to ensure the true witch, foretold in the story, was given the judgment she was due. The true witch? You don't mean... Yes, I speak of none other than Spella Cantabella.
Objection!
Miss Darklaw, there's a glaring contradiction in your statement. And what would that be? It's supposedly common knowledge that Bezella is capable of using all magic. However, that is far from the truth. Magic doesn't actually exist in this town. It was all one giant illusion created by the Shades. Therefore, the Great Witch Bezella cannot exist either. Did they just realize? You fool. Defender. You really don't have a clue, do you? But wait a minute now. Is the Defender not correct? If magic does not exist, then it goes without saying that witches do not exist either. And that would include the Great Witch, would it not? That's right! They've been lying to us this whole time! Dastards! Bezella isn't real!
Objection.
Mr. Wright, there is a fundamental mistake in your argument. What do you mean? I have but one simple question. What, exactly, is Bezella? Huh? Well, she's supposed to be the head of all witches. Allow me to reword the question. The Great Witch Bezella is the root of all disaster within Labyrinthia. Hi, Draven, how are you? Knowing that, what specific disaster might she have been the root of? That would be, I just thought of something. We've been hearing Bezella's name left and right since we got here, but not once has the real Bezella showed up in person. Indeed, Miss Faye. Bezella herself has been virtually absent from the story thus far. What Inquisitor? Did she not claim the life of the storyteller tonight? It would appear so, Your Honor. However, there is just one more thing. A bit sick now. I hope you get well soon. And yes, the game is going very well. We are getting a lot of tea in this chapter. Consider this. What particular story is every citizen of Labyrinthia the most familiar with? Well, that would have to be the legendary fire, right? Everyone's getting sick, I know. Stay well, guys. Take care of yourselves. Precisely. Surely you're not serious. As the name implies, that is but a mere legend. No one knows for certain if it occurred. So they say, but the reality is, there are still traces of that terrible fire within the town today. The professor's right. We've even seen some of it up close and personal. Hey, yeah. At the Great Archive. You are indeed correct, Inquisitor. Littered throughout the town are burnt remnants of a fire most fierce. However, no one can say for certain what transpired back then. You see, not a soul saw what actually happened. Let me see if I have this straight. There's an entire town full of people and no one saw what happened? Correct, except for one particular person. What? There is one person who saw everything. I am speaking, of course, of the one responsible for the fire itself, the Great Witch Bezella. Yes. I remember it. All of it. Spella, what are you saying? When I close my eyes, I can picture it so vividly. The awful sight of the flames engulfing everything they touched. The scorching heat on my skin, the smell of burning cinder all around me. The large plumes of black smoke, the warm tears streaming down my face. Baby mama gave my kids COVID and I got it from them. They're already back healthy, but I still be dying. No! I'm glad your kids are feeling better, but I hope you get better soon, Draven. Oh, that sucks. I remember it all. What you are recalling now is the moment the Great Witch Bezella destroyed our town. Well, It appears my role here is finished. As for the rest, I leave it in your capable hands, Inquisitor. Huh? Darklaw, she just vanished into thin air. She's right. These memories are proof that I am Bezella. But Espella! Mr. Wright. Remember, if you will, what I said at the beginning of this trial. I came here to prove that Espella Cantabella is, in reality, the Great Witch Bezella. Right. There is still one more thing I wish to present to this court. I would now like to call the final witness to the stand. The final witness?
Hold it!
Ah, it would appear he has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I give you this trial's final witness, the storyteller. And just like that, he appeared. The man who had died not hours before. And the victim of this very trial, the storyteller himself. The professor sure chose one heck of a final witness. Morning is drawing closer and closer. How this trial will end is anyone's guess. The storyteller lives! Case dismissed! So true! There was no murder! Oh man. What a cliffhanger. But that is where we will end it for today. Yeah. Chapter 10. Oh no, epilogue. The first story. But no! That's a spoiler.